It doesn't matter what you try, you are never going to sterilize anything over an open flame or with alcohol. TV and movies have lied to you. It does not work that way. But this is how it works. Where does sterilization begin? Well, of course, in a biohazardous collection area. So, at the end of every piercing we perform at Apalali Piercing, we take those tools that we used on you and we collect them in this biohazard safe container. From here, they're going to be transported to our back room where we can begin the disinfection process on their way to becoming sterile tools. Once we've properly collected our tools, we'll take them back to the sterile room to begin disinfecting. We'll begin by setting our tools off to the side and then plugging up both sides of the sink. After this, my gloves will be thoroughly contaminated, so a quick swap before we continue, because I'll need to grab some Alkanox and some distilled water. We're going to be using 1 tablespoon of Alkanox in each side of the sink, as well as 1 gallon of distilled water. This will give us the proper mix ratio to keep the Alkanox at a proper strength to kill all bloodborne pathogens that could be present on any of the tools. This is going to be a cold bath that will last for 30 minutes. And to be extra sure that no blood or nast can escape us, we'll lay our tools open-ended in the sink. This way the hinge is fully penetrated by the disinfectant in the water. Now that these have had some time to soak and loosen any solid particulates that have been left behind on them, we'll give them a thorough scrubbing with a wire brush to make sure that we remove anything that could be visible to the naked eye. Now we'll speed this up with a little bit of editing magic for you guys. But once these tools have all been completely scrubbed, we'll give them a nice thorough rinse down after yet another change in gloves. You wouldn't believe how many pairs I go through. And then we'll get them ready to go for a hot bath in the ultrasonic cleaner. To begin the second phase of disinfecting, we're going to need to mix up some more Alkanox. This time we'll only need half a teaspoon to go in the ultrasonic cleaner, and this will be added to half a gallon of distilled water. The ultrasonic cleaner uses a combination of heat and vibration to break down and remove all invisible pieces of particulate that we cannot see with the naked eye. So this is going to get to a temperature of about 50 degrees Celsius and continuously run vibration over the tools for the next 30 minutes. At which point in time, we'll be ready to move to the next step. Now we'll move these tools over to the sink, get them laid out, and begin rinsing them off. We need to make sure that we thoroughly remove all of the Alkanox that is on the tools from the tools. So I'm going to plug the sink up first, and we're going to do our first rinse back and forth until we've completely filled the sink, and then we'll go ahead and let the water drain from it. After that, we're going to do a second rinse back and forth, just allowing the water to continuously go down the drain. And then finally, one more rinse where we get in between each and every single little hinge on every one of the tools. From this point, we can officially declare that the tool has been disinfected and now needs to be dried. Before we lay our tools out to dry, we'll put on yet another fresh pair of gloves, and then I'm going to go ahead and lay out some paper towels to prevent any drips from coming down and landing on the floor or anything on the lower shelves on this rack. Now that we have the shelf prepared, we can lay our tools out to begin drying. They're going to need about an hour or so before they're completely dry, and we can begin packaging them and getting them ready for the autoclave, at which point in time we'll begin the actual sterilization process. Now that the tools are dry, we can begin collecting them up in a bin so that we can move them over to the packaging station. Once we've moved to the packaging area, we'll select the appropriate size sterile packs for the tools we'll be working with today. We'll get them all bagged up, tear the package seal off, and make sure that we appropriately close each package before it goes in the autoclave. It's important to note that the packaging protects the tools from airborne particulates once they've been removed from the autoclave and allows a storage time of up to 6 months under Oklahoma state law. Watching this makes me wonder just how many pairs of gloves I go through when I do this. But anyway, time to prepare our autoclave. So first, of course, we'll get the seal and install that to make sure that we can keep pressure on it and nothing escapes through the lid. After that, we'll pull the basket and go ahead and add our water to the autoclave. A little distilled water to the fill line is all we need to do here. Then, of course, we'll fill our basket with the tools that we'll be adding to the autoclave. We'll only be doing 15 at a time to accommodate for the size of this autoclave. Then we'll get our lid locked down tight and begin the cycle. Now, this autoclave uses air steam displacement to kill bacteria within it. Through this process, the autoclave is going to heat up to 121 degrees Celsius or 250 degrees Fahrenheit and maintain that temperature for a minimum of 30 minutes. Then we can open the vent and allow the pressure off of the autoclave. This will have already crushed and cooked any bacteria that could have been in or on any of my tools. With the pressure relieved off the autoclave, we can now safely remove the lid without worry of it blowing up in our face. And then we're going to take these very hot tools and lay them out on the cooling rack. The tools will need at least an hour to an hour and a half to cool down. Once they have, they'll be collected up and then moved to the side in a bin. From there, they'll receive their expiration date. Expiration dates are very important as they allow for safety controls. As I said earlier in the video, these tools are only considered sterile for up to 6 months under Oklahoma state law. With this expiration date, we can now track that and know if the tool is out of date. If it is, it must be removed from package and re-sterilized before it can be used on any client. And then finally, they'll make their way back up to this drawer to be filed away until it's time to set up for your piercing. Take it easy, guys. We'll see you next time.